Hey everybody, welcome back. It's another exciting episode of the Stash Report from the Stash Project. Today, we are going to be doing our December compilation video for the new folks who have subscribed to the channel in the recent few weeks. First of all, welcome. We do this video towards the beginning of every month to let you know what kits to expect in a given month, this being December of 2019. I'm going to apologize up front for the light of God behind me here. It is, of course, almost winter, and one of the downsides to having a bench stash area that is in the southern corner of your house, of course, is the lighting is now ridiculous, even more so than it normally is. People who have been watching the channel for a while realize that I bought a curtain to put up back there so that I could close it and dim that nonsense down. Yeah, clearly I haven't put that up yet, so maybe that's a weekend project because that is ridiculous. And then no matter if I told it too far this way, then I got one in through the other window. So we'll just take this as being the deity of your choice telling you to buy some models. That's where we're going with this for today. So we have a few releases on the domestic side as usual, and then a plethora of things on the Japanese import side. So over at round 2, they're going to give you 5 kits this month. 4 out of the AMT line, although 2 of those are technically not AMT kits, and then 1 out of the MPC line. So up first on the AMT side of things, you're going to get a reissue of the 1977 Ford van. It's not too terribly long ago since this was reissued in its 1977 annual cruising van box art. Same kit, more or less, just new decals for the Coca-Cola livery. Yes, it's another Coca-Cola kit. This is going to come with not only a 1970s style vending machine, but also 2 little pallets of bottles. And a pallet in this case be a little wooden tray. The way they used to stock the bottles into the vending machines back in the day, they were supposedly molded in what is being called quote-unquote Coca-Cola green. So we'll leave it up to you guys to decide if the clear green looks anything like a Coke bottle does. It's just a little bit before my time. I did have one time have a collection of Coca-Cola bottles, one from every state from like the 60s. Bought them at an auction when the people next door moved. It was like $1. Ended up selling them for more than that, but those were clear. They weren't green, so I can't speak to the correctness of clear green, but that's that. Also going to get a reissue of the 1953 Ford Victoria, also a Coca-Cola tie-in with decals and a 1960 style vending machine. So there are, for sure, 2 different styles of Coca-Cola vending machines that you can get in these kits these days. One's a 1970 style, one's a 1950s, 1960 style. This kit itself is the old Lindbergh 53 Ford that they made during the Craft House Toledo days back in the mid-1990s. It's the sister kit to the 43 Ford Pace Car convertible kit, and there's just they've already reissued the 43 Ford convertible kit just in general. Very nice kit, very to the times of the 1990s, so it's comparable to any 90s era Revell kit, any 90s era AMT Ertl kit. This is probably the reason why we've seen a lot of these Lindbergh kits get reboxed in AMT boxes. This is to try to keep those good kits that Lindbergh actually made in the 1990s and keep them away from that Lindbergh name that a lot of people, obviously, and rightfully so, associate with the old Palmer Pyro, junk, the Lindbergh stuff from the 1960s, all of the airplanes that have been blown out of the doors at Ollie's for the last 7 years because nobody wants them, and every time they do a kit dump, they wheel that initial batch of Lindbergh kits from the J. Lloyd era when the warehouse fire took place out and try to sell them off to some dupes that aren't smart enough to realize that how bad those kits really are. But that's coming back out, and then you're going to get a reissue of the 1965 Coronet, and this is a snap-tight kit. This, of course, is the old Polar Lights kit. So this is another reboxed into a different line kit. I'm not exactly sure why or how or what difference it would make to keep the name on this different. I mean, people who bought kits when Racing Champions owned things and Polar Lights was doing their series of kits that were, largely not really appreciated, and perhaps deservedly so. I didn't buy any of those kits. I'm not sure what the benefit of keeping the Polar Lights name dead is, or where the Polar Lights name is going to be focused now. But anyway, so this is being reissued. It's molded in 5 different colors, like black, silver, dark blue, gray, and a dark gray, or something along those lines. The idea being you don't have to paint it, and it's not all molded in one color like a normal snap-tight kit, or 2, the body color, and everything else being a black or a gray. So that's coming back out. And then last from AMT, you're going to get a reissue of the 1970 Chevy Impala in its Fire Chief boxing. The one thing that's always sort of been a Debbie Downer about that kit is the fact that the box art, which they're using the original box art, of course, shows a more formal roofed Impala. Probably really, in reality, let's face the fact that no fire chief would have an Impala. They might have a Biscayne, which was the next trim level down, but they would not have had an Impala, more than likely. Now, of course, there's all sorts of crazy random crap that happens, especially with fire service, where people buy stuff because it's the only thing available. There's famously, down south, floating around a fire engine red 1972, I think it is, Ford station wagon with a 460 in it and a complete police package as far as the suspension and all the coolers and all that stuff going in the engine, that was used by a county coroner in Louisiana. Now, a county coroner in Louisiana is a law enforcement official, so technically that's how he got its way with getting a police package on that weird option vehicle. But when you start really looking at things like police vehicles, and especially Mopar vehicles just in general, but especially on the police side of things, you can never say that didn't happen, because chances are there's at least one of them that did come off the floor that way, because Ford and Mopar and Chrysler at the time obviously would let you order pretty much anything you wanted to back in the days where you checked your boxes at the dealership if you wanted to build your car that way. But more likely, not an Impala. Just, from especially since, this is supposed, if you look at their fire vehicles and their police vehicles, all that stuff is all Troy, Michigan. Troy, Michigan did not have a 2-door Impala fire chief car. But at any rate, all the fire chief stuff has been retooled according to the literature on this. And then it has newly tooled sort of Chevy base wheels, which of course would be something I don't think you could order on an Impala. But, then again, this really probably is more of a Biscayne than an Impala. Much like the upcoming 2020 release, there's not upcoming like, oh my God, it's any minute now. It's in test shots right now of them doing the Supernatural 1967 Impala, the 4-door. That got some test shots. If we can drag down where those test shots came from, I'll put them in a regular weekly video. But that's the same thing. Like, everybody's like, oh my God, it's a 4-door Impala. This is fantastic. It's every police car ever. Except the Supernatural Impala is a pillarless hardtop, and every police car ever would have been a Biscayne, post sedan, so to speak, with an actual B-pillar. Now, obviously, putting a B-pillar into an Impala and changing around the trim options is a much easier starting point from an actual 4-door model kit than it would be from, taking a 2-door and stretching it into a 4-door, especially considering how much difference there is in the roof line comparing a 67 Impala 2-door, which sort of has a fastback roof, to a 67 Impala sedan, which is much more formal sedan roof. But it's still not, it's better than anything else we've had, but it's still not like, that's not what a police car would be. It wouldn't be an Impala. People wouldn't buy that. It would cost too much, for all the hem and haw people have about spending tax dollars these days. It wasn't any different 35, 40 years ago when that car would have been out in real life. Oh yeah, Bob, we're going to go down to the Chevy dealership and we're going to spend an extra $1,500 a piece on these cars to get Impalas. No, you're not. No, we're not going to let you do that. So, but at any rate, it is what it is, and if nothing else, those base wheels will certainly look good on a 67 Impala that you throw a B-pillar into and convert it into a Biscayne. There's that. And lastly, over at MPC, speaking of police cars, they're going to reissue the venerable 1978 Dodge Monaco police car. Now, this, of course, for anybody who's over the age of, 20, has seen this vehicle in a different box. It's based on the old annual 2-door kits, which, of course, culminated, I guess, in the Force 440 police car, which was another ridiculous thing because it was a 2-door 78 Dodge. 2-door cars were a thing back in the 60s and perhaps the very, very early 70s, especially out west. Lots of area to cover and whatnot. So you got the fastest thing you could get, which would obviously be a 2-door car. A lot of state police departments used 2-door cars back in the day and things like that. However, not in 1978. They wouldn't have been offered a police package on a 1978 2-door, but again, fantasy land that was. What they've done with the Dodge Monaco here is actually done some work to it. Now the kit itself is going to be the same basic kit you always had. Always been the TJ Hooker, the Joker Goon car, the car from Batman Returns, the car from the 911 series. I'm pretty sure it was boxed in that. I'm trying to think what the heck else I've seen it as, because I've built it, I think, as the Joker Goon car, as the Gotham City Police car back in the day, back in the early 90s when that kit would have been reissued. But they've retooled the wheels, which probably are coming out of the 78 Dodge pickup truck, or they may be something unique to this. So they're going to be actual real wheels, real depth with real tires. Anybody who knows this kit knows one of the biggest problems it had was it had great big deep dish wheels and very, very big tires. As a matter of fact, they were the old dirt track NPC racing tires. That's how wide they were. So it's going to have real wheels at real depth with real tires. It has a new light bar tooled up for it. Now, this is a CHP specific vehicle, so it does have a CHP bar from the 1970s tooled up, which would be a Federal Twin Sonic. So that's a much more improvement. The thing that was in those kits forever was a very, 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 very bad impersonation of a Federal Signal Aerodynamic, which was not something that was ever proper for a CHP vehicle. LAPD, yes. CHP, no. So this is a nice twin Sonic. They're saying red and blue. It'd be nice if they gave you 2 domes of each, because that would certainly give you more flexibility. The twin Sonic was a widely used light bar in the 1970s. A lot of departments had it. It was one of the first. This was a motor chain driven light bar, meaning there was a literally almost like a bicycle chain that ran the length of the bars attached to the bottom of the rotator cups, and there was a motor in the middle of it, and it, the motor ran and it drug that chain, and that's how the light bar spun. But it's one of the first fully enclosed, siren internally included with it, light bar that was ever created. It was like the big step from the single big bubble beacons like Michigan State Police still uses, to then using like twin beacons on a chain-driven bar, same principle, just to spun 2 lights instead of 5. There was, a very cutting edge light bar. Oh my God, the whole top of the car has lights. Oh my God, it's all enclosed. It's not, that thing. So it's a very neat piece of history to have tooled up correctly. They also are tooling up a new 6-piece CHP-specific push bar, which is a very nice touch, considering the fact that CHP did use a very funky-looking specific light bar in the 1970s, something that was tooled up by the prison system. So getting an actual correct one of those and supposedly correct CHP livery, because that's another thing they've done in the past. It's done things that look like CHP livery or things that would be modern CHP livery, but were not correct for the 1970s. So they've, like I said, they've done a lot of work to sort of make this a viable, model kit, in as much as it's still, a 1977 annual kit. So a lot of people also mentioned when they saw this kit was going to come back out, and that they hope the 2-door would come back out. The problem with that, of course, is that the 2-door was modified into this 4-door, so that you would now have to wonder if the body tooling still exists for the 2-door, and whether or not the inserts for the 2-door interior would still exist, because the 2-door and 4-door, I'm pretty sure, rode on the same chassis. I don't know for fact the chassis is modified to make the wheelbase longer, or it's one of those things where the car rode on, the 2 and the 4-door rode on the same wheelbase. Probably was, because you're getting towards that part of the automotive era where, you're not going to run 5 different size chassis down the assembly line. But be that as it may, I think that's a neat little, upgrade to that kit, something that would qualify as venerable or evergreen, meaning it's come out too many times. It might be worth, actually, like I said, even for me to pick up, just because I am a police car guy at heart, and seeing them, actually make this into a real police car rather than just being sort of a, oh hey, look at this thing we did. It's a Batman car, whatever. It's nice. I like it. I give them kudos for that. It may not be what everybody wants. A lot of people, demanding new kits and things like that. But it is what it is in that sense. All right, so let's go overseas to Tamiya. Tamiya's got well, actually 3, because the big scale 934 didn't come out last month. But they, unless you're in Europe, but the 3 kits in Japan that'll come out from Tamiya this month are the 2019 Toyota Supra Gazoo Racing version. That is a brand new toolkit, curbside. We covered it in a weekly video, I think 2 weeks ago. Somebody did correctly point out to me that the red and black color keyed interior is specific to the 1500 launch edition vehicles. That only comes if you build the car either in white, red, or black. There are 500 of each, I think it was, or it might have been 2,500. I can't remember what the comment said. Now, they were right, though. Whatever the comment in that video said, as far as the number of cars and the 3 colors you can get them in, that was a correct comment. I can't remember what the comment said right now, because I can't look at it because I would screw up my video editing software. But, be that as it may, that comment was correct. The numbers were correct as far as how many of them were each built. And those are the only ones with the color-keyed mirrors in the interior, meaning if you had a black car, the mirrors were red. If you had a red car, the mirrors were black. I think the mirrors were red on the white cars, and then every one of those cars came with a red and black interior. Otherwise, if you build it in any of the other, I think, 10 colors the car is available in, or you don't build a launch version, because you could get the red, white, and black without a launch version, obviously, because you can only buy so many of the launch versions, then the interior is black. Every interior in the entire Supra, go try to build one of your own, is black. Maybe that'll change next year. Maybe we'll get more colors as the time goes on. But be that as it may, right now the interior is black. The other kit in the 1/24 scale will be the 2019 version of the Gazoo Racing Toyota TS050, which is, of course, the hybrid prototype car they ran in World Endurance and Le Mans. This is specific to the 2019 24 Hours of Le Mans winning cars, or car, but they ran 2 cars, so it has both numbers. It still does not include any kind of DHL headers that you would be required to have for the WEC series, because Le Mans is inside of the World Endurance Championship. It is not a separate event. It is part of that season. However, the number placards and things like that are headed by Total, Oil, and 24 Hours of Spa, or 24 Hours of Le Mans. Placard designations that are different from the rest of the time it ran in WEC kind of things. So this car, of course, does not actually include any of the Le Mans WEC stuff. So you still need a filler sheet available through SK Decals and a plethora of other places. If you want to build a WEC car, you still need to get the decals either from me or from Shunko. They're the only other people that did or maybe it's Taboo. Taboo or Shunko, one of the two, did a 2018-2019 TS050 sheet that included both liveries and all the headers to do all 3 cars. So if you want to do a WEC car, you still need to talk to me or talk to Shunko or Taboo, whichever one it was. And they're the only ones that include the DHL door placards for the doors, and you need those if you're going to build a specifically WEC car. Now, of course, the car won the 2018-2019 World Endurance Championship outright. They won. One of the cars won every single race that was done, except for one race where they were just both of those cars and 2 of the Porsches were disqualified. So there's that. And then the other kit that's going to come out this month, because it didn't come out last month, is the big 1/12 scale Porsche 934 Group 4 car with the Jägermeister livery, so that'll be coming as well. Over at Fujimi, got a couple of kits that are just reissues in different colors, and a couple more wheel sets. So you got 2 more Suzuki Hustler Gs coming. Those the snap-tight cars that are molded in colors. So the 2 colors you're going to get this time are Moon Violet Pearl and Khaki, Cool Khaki Pearl. I've looked at the cars in real life. The Cool Khaki Pearl is indeed a metallic brown. It's not really khaki. It's more brown than anything. And it is definitely glossy. It's not a matte coat, so much for that idea. And then the 2 wheel sets are going to be a 15-inch set of Advan A3As and a 17-inch set of Volk TE37s. Over at Hasegawa, several reissues, several modified reissues, and a new tool. First up, you got a reissue of the Lamborghini Miura Super Veloce, and that's going to come with a Italian girl resin figure. Then you're going to get a reissue of the Nissan Sunny, which is, of course, the little pickup truck, and it's going to have a resin chin spoiler. Reissue of the 1/24 scale, 1990 Paul Stewart Racing Formula 3000 car, and they've reissued pretty much all the Formula 3000 cars at this point, as far as the ones that ran in the Japan-specific season. And now this is going to be the first one, new set of livery, as far as I can tell, that is going to be for the international Formula 3000 series that was run in Europe. So that is a new set of decals, at least. And then you're going to get a new version of the Volkswagen Type 2 panel van. Nothing new about the kit, but it is a Egg-Playing Girls thing with a steampunk theme this time. So another reissue of those with a new set of decals. And then you're going to get a reissue of the 1966 Ford Thunderbird, or the 1966 Type T, as I like to call it, because they're not paying any licensing towards the actual car manufacturers. And this, you may recall, was already released in a lowrider version earlier this year, and it is going to get reissued with a sexy resin girl, because, of course, resin girl, all the things. If you bought one, you don't need one unless you want the resin figure. This is going to have the regular sort of generic wheels that go on all of these 1966 kits that they did, rather than the lowrider wheels that they did with the Thunderbird and the Cadillac, which were first done, you may recall, that a couple months ago, or 2 months ago now, the Cadillac was reissued with a resin girl in it, and now the Thunderbird is getting a resin girl put back into it. So there's that. Reissue of their R31 Nissan Skyline Kit. This is going to be a 1986 GTSX, which was the top of the line two-door Skyline at the time. This is basically the first two-door Skyline that came out. The Skyline in the R31 format, when it was initially released in 1985, was only available as a four-door car. In 1986, they reissued it in 1/1 scale. They reissued it as a two-door coupe, and this would be basically the top-of-the-line car that you could have got at the time. There wasn't, of course, no GTR in the R31 line. The new toolkit for the month of December from Hasegawa is their Nissan Bluebird Triple S Altessa. It's done. It's going to come out this month. I've seen test shots of it, seen production shots of it, so it's ready to go. Shouldn't be delayed, I don't think. If it does, it will come out very early January for some reason, if they can't get it out in time due to, everything being cockeyed with shipping over Christmas. But it looks very nice. I mean, you could argue about whether or not you need it or not as far as like what it does, but I'm guaranteeing you, almost guaranteeing you, I can't really guarantee you because I don't know for a fact, but I almost guarantee that's going to come back out with the rally-inspired version, and they may do a rally version of it because it was basically the closest you could get, I guess, to a factory prep rally car in its like SSX format or whatever the car was called. I can't remember what it is. I've showed it to you a couple of months ago when this kit was first announced as being like other versions they could do with it. I can almost guarantee you that's going to be in there just the way the kit itself is engineered, but be that as it may, we'll see that throughout 2020. And then straight reissues, just restocks, are the 66 Impala, which is another one of these 1966 kits, which is really a 65 Impala, but nobody's going to argue about that right now. And that is the Resin Girl figure kit. And then the Charge liveried Mazda 767B Le Mans car, and the Sauber Mercedes C9 Le Mans cars. So those are their very, very basic Group C cars. I mean, if you wanted a Sauber C9 or you wanted a 767B, I would, 767B you can only get through Hasegawa, because that's not a 787B. But the C9, Tamiya did do one. They did reissue it in the late 2000s. It's not that terribly hard to track down. It's obviously just a better kit because A, Tamiya, B, full details. So just something to keep in mind. And then lastly, over at Aoshima, we get their big sort of dump, if you will, from the Tokyo Model and Hobby Show. I've seen box art for almost all of this now. The only thing I haven't seen is for the Hiace Type R. So this is going to be a new body kit for their new tool 4-door R34. Obviously, the kit exists because we've gotten two versions of it. We got a late version and an early version of the R34 Sedan. This is going to be the Hiace body kit added to it, so it shouldn't be too terribly involved in terms of new tooling. I mean, it's a bunch of new parts. Don't get me wrong. They would have A, all been tooled up originally, and B, it's just a matter of making sure they fit and things like that. But it shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a 6-month delay like there was with the actual R34 when it was a new tool. So that has kind of come back out. That's got, like I said, new ground effects, not new set of wheels, different set of wheels, because the wheels, I believe, are things that are in their inventory of wheels as it is. And then it's going to have new front fenders and a new front bumper, I think the hood's new as well. Bunch of new parts for that. Reissue of the 2015 Mitsubishi Evo 10 is a final edition. I'm not exactly sure what is the big deal here. They did do a final edition version of the kit back when they first started doing the model car lineup. And it was a special edition, which means that it's not part of the regular catalog. And then, of course, there was just an Evo 10 that they did in 2009. What I think this is going to be is like a combination kit. So you can build it either as a 2009 version or 2015 version. That means you should have two sets of wheels in it. And whatnot. So we'll see what comes with that when it comes out. Reissue and modified reissue of their 2007 Toyota Hiace, which is their big full-size van, as an accident processing vehicle. So this has a whole bunch of new police parts into it, and a great big goofy thing that goes on the roof that's a digital signboard, basically telling you what lanes are closed and things like that. Reissue of their 1992 Land Rover Range Rover Classic kit. So this is something a lot of people have really, really wanted for about the last 25 years since this kit was reissued the last time in a Revell boxing. As this kit's possible to find. They've retooled the glass. All of the clear parts are completely new. I don't know if the tooling insert got lost or maybe the glass just is crap in those original kits. I have an original kit. I haven't really dug it out to see if they don't fit or whatever the case may be, but maybe the tooling insert weren't missing and the licensing being what it is was the reason this has never been reissued, but it is coming now. I've seen box art for it the other day, so that's coming back out. They're restarting their supercar lineup again. They already have one, now they're going to restart it again. And the first two kits that are going to be in that are the 1974 Lamborghini Countach Lp 400, which of course is the first one of the Lamborghini Countach kits that they did, and the 2012 Pagani Warrior, which is an interesting choice considering how widely people consider that kit to be. And there'll be photo etch sets for both of those. They're going to reissue the special editions from the more Grand Champion series, which are the Japan 4-door Special, which is a 1980s 4-door Skyline, the Ken and Mary 4-door Special, which is a 1970s 4-door Skyline, the 130 generation Nissan Laurel, and the 330 generation Nissan Cedric. Also going to reissue the Liberty Walk Ken and Murray Patrol Car, the Liberty Walk Hakasuka 4-door, the Knight Rider kit from Season 1, Season 4, and the Special Pursuit mode. Those are 3 different kits. We're going to get, of course, we discussed, and I ended up selling my Japanese taxi kit. Thank you, Brian. So I could buy this one, the 2017 NPT-10 Toyota Taxi. This is being done as the Kokosai Auto Taxi version, so I'm looking forward to getting one that I'm going to keep this time, hopefully. The pre-painted kits that were supposed to come out in October are supposed to come out this month, and they are the Kawasaki Takahashi FD3S RX-7s, the Volume 1, and the Project D. We've talked about this before. All of Aoshima's pre-paints, of course, are pre-painted the entire kit through. Chassis, interior, window black, all that stuff is already done for you. You, of course, always have to deal with the sprue attachment points. The mold lines are not sanded out of the body, but it is, for a shelf model, if you just wanted to do that kind of thing, it's a nice little just glue it together kind of Sunday project. And then some shelf fillers they threw on very, very late in the in the beginning of November. The 1981 Toyota Soar 2800 GT Extra, the 2007 Nissan 370Z Nismo, the 1978 Mitsubishi Galant Lambada, and the 1982 Toyota Celica XX, which we will call the Celica Supra here, in the 2800 GT trim. So that, guys, is what you should look forward to for the month of December. Yay! We have the Range Rover on order. We have the Urace R34 on order. We have the Skyline GTSX, the Bluebird Altessa on order, and I believe really that is. Oh, we have the Supra and the 2019 TSO 50 on order as well. But pretty light month for us, but it is what it is. Every now and then it's nice to just sort of not have a gajillion things coming in. Of course, that doesn't mean that we still can't get a release of some other past due kits at this point that will end up making it's a nice quiet month be very, very busy. But we shall see what we shall see on that. A lot of those new BMAX kits slide around a lot. The 934 or the 935 K3 is now a January release. It was supposed to be November, then it was supposed to be December. The R8 keeps creeping backwards. It was supposed to be the end of November, then it was the beginning of December, and then it came back a couple more days, and it's coming back a couple more days. Last time I looked, it was a release for December 16th. Good luck on that. But be that as it may, it is what it is. Can't do anything other than, build any of the 1,000 things you have sitting around instead of complaining about stuff that hasn't come out yet. So anyway, guys, hope you had a great November, and we'll see you guys on the other side.